Since the genocide that has started after October 7th, 23, the Israeli government has been expanding and speeding up its colonization plans across Palestine, but also focusing on Al-Quds, Jerusalem. This expansion of its colonization has had several forms, which includes the making the home demolition policies much more quick, much more efficient, demolition of Palestinian homes, but also allowing more colonial settlements to be planned and approved while the genocide has been ongoing in the Gaza Strip. Of course, this is not surprising. The Israeli colonial regime and the apartheid regime has been focusing on colonization since the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, and we can see how Israel always uses times of armed conflict and different types of security justifications in order to take advantage of these justifications to speed up its colonial conduct. My presentation will focus on the Israeli legislative activity over the past few months and how this legislative activity is working further towards the colonization of Jerusalem. And at the end, I will be making a few recommendations also on how we can address these issues, knowing that other colleagues will also be speaking about their recommendations based on international law. So I will be speaking about legislations because Israel very frequently uses its legal system to advance its colonial regime. And what we have noticed over the past few months, very active in 2024, but also in 2025, is a number of legislations. I think all of us here know about the two laws that Israel decided that ban the UNRWA presence, the UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for the Palestine refugees. It bans its presence and its activities in areas where that it considers under its sovereign territory. And Israel, as we all know, annexed Jerusalem illegally in 1948, West Jerusalem, in 1967, East Jerusalem, were both annexed illegally to Israel, and Israeli law applies on Jerusalem contrary to international law. So Israel has enacted two laws focusing on UNRWA, prohibiting UNRWA from working in areas that Israel considered to be under its sovereignty, which basically includes Jerusalem. They closed forcibly the headquarters of the UNRWA in Jerusalem, which is the main headquarters that runs the UNRWA operations and administers the UNRWA operations in Jerusalem. And they also prohibit communication of Israeli officials with the UNRWA. So resulting from these laws, Israel also terminated its agreement with the UNRWA that has facilitated since 1967 UNRWA operations in the occupied Palestinian territory. This obviously has direct results on Jerusalem because Israel has also ordered the UNRWA services to be closed, the schools and the medical facilities to be closed, but also it will influence further towards the West Bank and Gaza, because at the end of the day, UNRWA has been coordinating with the occupying power in order to provide its services in Palestine, and the fact that Israel has prevented officials from communication. This does affect UNRWA services all over Palestine. Another law was that is very dangerous, that has been already enacted, allows the Minister of Interior to deport Palestinians whose family members are accused of terrorism according to Israeli definitions. Of course, collective punishment is not a new measure that Israel has been committing in Palestine. Israel has been, over decades, demolishing the homes of family members of individuals who they accuse of terrorism. But the new law that has been enacted, which can be applied both on Palestinians who hold Israeli citizenship, as well as Palestinians who do not hold this citizenship, and the overwhelming majority of Palestinians in Jerusalem are defined by Israel as residents only, right? This is the status that Israel decided to define the Palestinians with. So both the citizens and the non-citizens can be deported to Gaza, according to the law, or to any other place according to the circumstances. This is very dangerous. It means that Palestinians now are at a very grave risk of being deported from, not only from their homes, transferred from their homes as has been happening before, but also deported from the whole space, from all of Jerusalem. Of course, we know that Gaza is, now, a concentration camp and a death camp. If they are going to deport Palestinians into Gaza, this only means that this is like a sentence of suffering for these families and of exclusion from Jerusalem, furthering again the Israeli colonial policies, which are always in Jerusalem based on pushing and pulling factors of pushing Palestinians out of the space and factors of pulling Jewish-only colonial settlers into the same space in order to have an exchange of population where the Palestinian population is exchanged with a Jewish colonial Israeli population in Jerusalem. A third law I want to share with you is a law that amends the basic law, Jerusalem, capital of Israel. So Israel has enacted the basic law in 1980, which was widely condemned around the world, including by the United Nations Security Council, which has already stated that this law and any other laws that change or attempt to change the character and the status of Jerusalem as an occupied territory as null and void. According to this amendment to this constitutional Israeli law that has been already condemned, Israel decided that no foreign diplomatic missions are allowed to be opened in Jerusalem, except for those that will be established for Israel itself. So if any country around the world wants to open a new consulate in Jerusalem, and this was, by the way, this question came when the Israelis were still waiting or anticipating the results of the American, of the US elections, and they were worried that Harris, if she wins the elections, she may reopen the US consulate in Jerusalem that was closed at the first Trump administration. So they decided to enact a basic constitutional law in order to prevent any country around the world to open a consulate that will be focused on communication with Palestine, with Palestinian leadership, with the Palestinian civil society, to give services to Palestinians. So they made this new decision and this new law. The other law that was also already enacted is a law that prohibits organizations and representatives of organizations who call for sanctions against Israel publicly or call for Israeli for accountability of individuals who committed war crimes or crimes against humanity, preventing them from entry into Israel, which also includes Jerusalem. This means that international organizations, NGOs basically, but also others, who are working on human rights, many of which have branches in Palestine, including Jerusalem, will have issues to work in Jerusalem. Israel has already, only a few days ago, declared the first group of organizations and individuals, many who work on a number of human rights issues, including Jerusalem, preventing them from entry into Palestine. Then Israel has also some other laws targeting civil society and human rights defense and human rights defenders. There is a bill, now I'm talking about bills that have not yet passed the Knesset, but they have passed the first reading, so anytime they can pass and they can become binding law according to Israeli law. The first bill considers providing information directly or indirectly, including by publication, to the International Criminal Court as a criminal offense upon which a person will be punished. Another one is a bill that taxes civil society organizations that get funding from international, from other states, 80% tax for any funding that they receive if these organizations do not receive at the same time funding from the Israeli government. So they only give an exception for organizations that are friendly with the Israeli government. This is still a bill that is expected to be passed. There is another bill that criminalizes collecting information, basically documentation, of Israeli war crimes and crimes against humanity, collecting information about the Israeli army's activities in the occupied territory, including Jerusalem. So our strong and active civil society that has been collecting this information, their work will become criminal according to Israeli law. And this is, another activity of that focuses on silencing the civil society and not allowing this civil society to continue working. So, of course, as I said earlier, at the same time, Israel is expanding the colonial settlements very quickly. Israel is planning to annex further territory from the West Bank into Jerusalem, making a much larger Jerusalem from the Israeli definitions, disconnecting the West Bank further from each other, the towns and the villages from each other. Israel has been imprisoning Palestinians for social media posts, Facebook posts, and very simple expressions. And now when you go to prison, you will face unimaginable torture that includes all different types of atrocities, including rape and other sexual crimes. Many people are murdered in the Israeli prisons. So this is the current environment. And at the same time, Israel is registering lands in the Israeli registry in a way that will allow Israel to register a lot of the Palestinian land using the Israeli laws under the Israeli government, for the Israeli government or for colonial settler organizations. This is the current atmosphere in Jerusalem, and this is only the tip of the iceberg. We can, because of the limited time, I cannot go into more details, but from my point of view, I want to just end my intervention with reminding us all that the International Court of Justice has issued an advisory opinion according to which the whole presence of Israel in the occupied Palestinian territory is contrary to international law. Also, this decision has started a discussion within the UN General Assembly about how the General Assembly will be addressing Israeli apartheid. There have been calls by a number of civil society organizations to re-establish the Apartheid Committee, a committee that has succeeded in the South in bringing about sanctions against the South Africa apartheid regime. We learn a lot from South Africa and from their experience in struggling against apartheid, and we believe that this might be an additional important step in addressing the apartheid regime. It is very important at this time that there are initiatives within the international community to address Israeli genocide and other crimes. The Hague Group, which has been established by a number of courageous countries, including Senegal, including Malaysia, including South Africa, Colombia, and other countries, is a very courageous step that is working towards ending the complicity with the Israeli apartheid regime. It's very important to build on this great initiative. There is a meeting in a few days, actually, in 5 days from now. There is a meeting in Bogota that will be established, and it is very important that every country that has taken this initiative to continue to support this initiative and to have to support other countries in joining. I know that Senegal has a very leading role in this initiative, and you know, of course, we depend and rely on Senegal to continue with its strong struggle against Israeli apartheid and to push not only Senegal, to push other countries in the region to you know, to take the same example, to push by example. Finally, I will say another good initiative in the international arena, which is the case Nicaragua versus Germany. Nicaragua has filed a case against Germany for complicity and for supporting the Israeli regime during the time of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. This case is still pending in the International Court of Justice, and I believe that it can bring about and it will focus on third state responsibility. My last word will be Israeli apartheid, occupation, genocide, and other war crimes and crimes against humanity cannot happen without the complicity of the international community. If Israel was not supported, it would not be able to do it. So in order to address this issue, it's very important to always keep, you know, stressing the principles, but it is more important to think about the complicity and to end the complicity with Israel, because this is the only way Israel will be eventually forced to stop its violations in all of Palestine, including, of course, Al-Quds, Jerusalem. And thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.